Customer called us into a hot point washer that wasn't draining. You can see water level there. She did have a go at draining it herself, but she just got water everywhere, and she thought she'd call us in. Get sliders out, under front feet, under back feet, and it should slide straight out. Tip machine back, because we're going to be draining this off manually. Normally I use a wet vac for these situations, but I thought I'd show you how to do it if you've not got one of those. Grab biggest bucket you can, put it underneath pump, open up that filter. Careful with this because you can overfill your bucket and you just end up flooding everything. If you're unsure, just open it a little bit like that and wait for it all to drain off. Once we've got that filter off, we can see we've got something in pump that's not meant to be there. Grab a pick, remove that, pair of pliers, little ribbon, obviously that's stopping pump from turning round. Make sure pump impeller moves as it should. While we're here, check the sump. There's a little coin catcher on hot point sumps. I can feel there's a few bits in there. Remove water, get all that crap out, and then see what we've got. So it looks like a little silver chain, quid coin, and some air grips. Obviously that's no good for washer. Remove all those. Function test it. Because we've removed everything, we know we're not going to be coming back, and we know this machine's now working. Got a big blockage of soap powder on a Samsung washing machine. Customer called us in. Basically, water's not making it into the tank, it's getting stuck in dispenser. Remove all this water so it don't leak everywhere. Strip machine down. There's a couple of screws on this display at the front. Remove that. Gives us access to the pipe that we need. Get this tuck off. It's absolutely filled. Remove all this on customer's floor and then realise I've got to clean this up, so go and find a bucket. Make sure it's all empty. Obviously give it a rinse. Reinstall this dispenser to tub hose. Put that back in, and then it's literally just work in reverse. Redo everything that we did initially. Get machine pushed back. Get a good sweep, load of crap under this machine. Dry everything off with a towel, and then get a function test. As you can see, water's now flowing freely where it needs to go. Called into a hot point washing machine that wasn't spinning. Remote back cover. It's covered in carbon dust, good indicator that the motor brushes are going to be worn. Got your motor there, remove the belt, lift it up and towards you, it should pop straight off. There's just two 10mm bolts that hold the motor into place. Remove those, 10mm socket, should pop straight off. Lift the machine up and then pull it out from underneath it. I've found that's the easiest way to do these. Motor brushes there. In comparison to new ones, obviously there's note left on them. Probably never been changed, probably original. The new brushes just slide into the exact same position the old ones were. Reinstall those and give it a spin, make sure they're sat flush. Then just work in reverse, so tip machine up, put motor into place, redo your bolts, redo your belt, do back panel, give it a test, everything's working. This method should work for most machines apart from Miele and Bosch. For those, I'll have a separate video up on my YouTube. Customer called us in for a leaky Samsung washer. Tip machine back, went in through bottom. Problem immediately obvious, big hole inside at drum. Normally in these situations the bare minimum would be a new rear half for a tank, but I found this milliput stuff online. Basically it's epoxy, so you take equal parts of these two sides and then mix them together for at least 7 minutes. It's heat resistant up to 130 degrees Celsius. Washing machines very rarely get over 90, so it's well within range. This could potentially save a washing machine for as little, I think it was £7. So we just mix these two epoxies together, get us whole, prep that with a little bit of sandpaper, go in underneath, and then place the epoxy down. We need to obviously make sure it's watertight, that it covers that hole completely, and that it's flat and smooth. Within 24 hours after this setting, she's gone from a machine that was potentially write-offable, or at least requiring a new drum, to something that's fully operational. Video's not sponsored, but if you do want to pick some up, I'll leave a link in comments. Called in for a blockage on a Siemens washing machine. It's a call I actually mess up on, but I thought I'd show you, just in case you ever try and do your own, you can hopefully avoid flooding your kitchen like I did to this customer's. So, obvious block pump, machine's not draining out, we've got a blockage in there, I can hear that. It's a wet vac job, so what we do, we open the filter up and just slowly suck that water away with wet vac. I check here to see how much water's coming out. Doesn't look like there's a lot, so I pulled that filter off completely. Because there was a blockage in there, as I've pulled that out, it's just enabled water to go all over flow. Looks worse than it actually is. Cleaned it up with a couple of towels, made sure we got rid of the rest of the water. Found a little nail in there, which is what I were hearing round pump, and then that's the bit of cloth that we're blocking it. Function tested machine, filled it up, drained it off, everything's working fine, customers, all good. If you ever decide to remove your own blockages, be patient with it, take it slow. Make sure you've got a load of towels handy so you don't do what I've just done. We had a call from a very concerned customer. She rang us saying the washing machine's overfilling. We turned up, put it on a cottons, confirmed this. That water level's way too high. It should stop realistically below the door seal. So remove the water, obviously make sure it's turned off, remove the power, pull the machine out so we've got access to the lid, remove the lid, and then in the top right hand corner we've got the pressure switch. We're going to blow down this, listen carefully, and you should hear that blockage being released. Put everything back together, give it a function test, make sure that water level's stopping where it should. In this case it is just a simple blockage. Once we've removed that, customer's machine's working as it should. Went to fix a customer's dishwasher. She asked me if I could take a look at a washing machine while I were there. She said it was very loud on spin, so I immediately thought bearings. Spant machine and bearings were actually fine. Did a little bit more investigating, so we take the seal clamp off, remove the door seal, and you can see a counterweight is completely loose from front of the machine. I'm surprised that it's still even standing there. They've ran it with this counterweight loose. Customer said it was just making an extortionate amount of noise. You can see there's a hole in drum from where the counterweight's been banging against it. Imagine this up at 1400 RPM with that counterweight loose. I can't believe customer kept it running all the way to end, but yeah, she needs a new one. Customer called us in advising that a machine's not spinning or filling with water. Turned up, ran a function test, ensured the incoming supply of water was fine and there were no issues there. Went on to test valves. One valve's testing fine, the other valve, that's open circuit, indicating that it's failed. A couple of days later, when new valves had turned up, time to swap them out. Turned water off, remove incoming supply front machine. Remove lid. Pair of pliers, remove these clips. Wield tiny screw on back of this, holding valves in place, twist it left to remove, do everything in reverse to refit. When reattaching water supply to the machine, make sure you turn it on slowly, just ensure there's no leaks. New valves are now in, gear test, working fine. If your machine's not filling, this is the best place to probably start. Changing a door seal on a Bosch washing machine, that's what happens when you don't clean out your pockets. I've noticed that if a customer ever tries to change a seal on their own, they normally struggle with these spring clamps. They can be done by hand, but they do take a little bit of grip strength, something we don't struggle with. What I found online a couple of years ago is this tool. It's called a washing machine spring expansion tool, but I just call them my lifesavers. You can see there, I can put this spring clamp on with just one hand. They're even useful if you want to remove the spring clamps. Sometimes you use a little small screwdriver or a pick, but you obviously risk scratching machine. These are a nice little investment to make. I'll have a link for them down in comments. They run about 14 quid on Amazon. If you're thinking about doing your own seal, I recommend picking a set up and you're not going to struggle with these clamps. Got called into an unusual fault on an LG washer. As you can see, it's leaking out front of the dispenser. The water coming from the valves is building up much quicker than it can be drained off. Obviously, we've got a blockage somewhere. Remove lid, remove dispenser, straight to dispenser rows. 9 times out of 10, this is where your blockage is going to be. In this instance, this were actually clear, so give it a good check. No blockage. Back of this dispenser tub, we've got a bellows tube. This tube works on a similar concept as using a straw to down a bottle of lager does. Pulled that off, as predicted, that's all blocked up. Remove it, it's one of those little plastic pull tab lid things from like plastic bottles that you get. Reinstall everything, run it as intended. As you can see, water's draining off at a sufficient rate. Little bit of a niche, unusual fault, but hopefully someone sees this and don't get caught out.